Hey guys, Level Cap here, and I cannot believe that this game is 10 years old. Now, for those of you who don't know, I've been a longtime fan of World of Warships, and I used to post semi-regular videos talking about my favorite ships and round recaps and strategies. So when Wargaming reached out to sponsor this 10th anniversary video, I gladly took the opportunity to jump back in and reunite myself with some of my favorite ships, like the Jean Bart's devastating forward-mounted cannons, or the Kitakaze's rain of high explosive ammo. And I was also quickly reminded of the deep strategy and skill needed to dominate in a match. And if I'm being totally honest, it took a little while to brush off some of my rust. Apparently jumping back into a high tier match with no warm-up time and expecting to be amazing with a destroyer, well, is not always the best plan. I was, however, immediately impressed with just how well the visuals have been updated. World of Warships does some nice graphical updates every few years to keep the game updated and looking fresh, and the way the water breaks on the front of my ship now and the updated ocean shaders just look simply amazing. There's even some cool little details like welders that'll repair my ship in the middle of battle, which is really cool. The game just received update 14.7 for its 10th anniversary, which is called Grand Voyage. And from now until the end of the year, there's all kinds of crazy new rewards to unlock. For anyone who hasn't made an account yet, if you sign up with the code XVoyage, you get a ton of free stuff right now. Aside from World of Warships just generally being a free-to-play game, you also get a free Tier 3 cruiser, the Tenryu, a free Tier 7 cruiser, the Boise, 7 super containers, 20 days of premium, 40 million credits, and 1 million Commander XP, and a ton of other stuff. Honestly, the new player rewards are kinda crazy right now. I don't think I got anything quite this good when I first signed up. Also, pleasantly, returning players get some cool stuff like exclusive camos, premium time, and tons of mission rewards to unlock all kinds of other new benefits. Make sure to check out the links in the video description if you want to grab World of Warships for yourself. Now, this game came out in September of 2015, and I just had to sit back and think on that for a second. Like, how many live service games have actually lasted for 10 or more years? Well, I asked the internet, and the answer is quite literally just a handful of games. And really, that's not too surprising because how many games just have formulas and gameplays and a factor that keeps you coming back to them for a decade or longer? It's very hard for older games to attract newer audiences. But World of Warships has that lasting power, and I think it's because at its core, it has one of the best 12v12 casual competitive experiences that I've ever played. Both with the extreme strategy, a huge knowledge curve, and a ton of skill, it's what kept me coming back day after day. Mastering one class of ships really informed how I would play a different class of ships. It just seemed to be an endless amount of growth to skill and strategy, and I think it's what made continuing to play the game so rewarding. Now, sometimes I talk about games that have a big focus on movement mechanics, where the game isn't quite as dependent on your ability to aim and shoot, but movement is also a big factor, and I feel like I could throw World of Warships into that category as well. Obviously, aim and precision is important, but positioning and angling is really going to be like 50% of your success in this game, being at the right place at the right time. Then there's working with your team to complement their ship abilities and share intel with them, and the rest is anticipating the enemy, some basic aiming skill, and knowledge about armor penetration and ship abilities. It's funny because at a glance it looks like I'm just driving a little boat around the water and shooting at stuff that moves. But under the surface, this game is all about anticipating your opponent's actions, whether that's knowing that a destroyer has probably fired a volley of torpedoes your way and that you should probably move out of the way or angle into the spread to try and avoid impacts, or just the understanding of where an enemy ship is likely to round a corner and to aim all of your cannons in the right spot at the right time.
Ship is on fire! Confirmed penetration.
Now for the uninitiated, a quick overview of the gameplay. At the top of the screen you'll see 12 ship icons for each team. The matching system puts a mixture of each ships for each team. Sometimes there isn't always ships for every class like subs or carriers, but there's pretty much always destroyers, cruisers, and battleships, with destroyers being the tip of the spear. They head up and spot the locations of the enemies and then often end up engaging other destroyers at the start of a match. An unchecked destroyer can be devastating in the right hands, especially with their torpedo volleys. They can eliminate battleships without even having to exchange fire. And then there's the battleships. These massive, slow-moving behemoths can fire halfway across the map and lay down covering fire for the smaller ships, doing a lot of scouting for you. And one of my favorite ships in the game is a battleship called the Jean Bart. This is a French battleship, and it's a bit of a weird one in that it has pretty darn weak armor for a battleship of its tier, and also not a ton of HP points. But it's got some fantastic abilities that can allow it to be oddly aggressive. It's got a speed boost, which is super uncommon for a battleship to have, that basically gives you faster acceleration, deceleration, and top speed for a short period of time. This means you can move the Jean Bart into position a lot faster than your opponents might think you can. Then its other amazing ability is a reload booster that, when activated, it can be used to lay down a metric ton of damage in a short period of time. Usually battleships are all about lining up for the perfect shot, waiting till your opponent angles their armor towards you, and then taking that shot and waiting for the rounds to get there, and then doing a slow reload process. Well, the Jean Bart can take that same perfect shot mechanic, and then you just hit the reload booster and take another shot, and maybe even another volley after that, assuming your opponent is still alive. This means that if your enemy makes a mistake and shows you their weak spot, you can double or even triple punish them for it. The only problem is that the Jean Bart is also not the most accurate ship out there, so at range it's a bit more limited than your typical battleship. Now, I logged on very arrogantly thinking that I could hop into a few games and get myself a Kraken, which is essentially getting 5 kills in a match. It's a pretty hard thing to do in World of Warships and only happens once in a while. I felt like I used to get them pretty regularly, but then I remembered that, yeah, I was also playing World of Warships between 4 and 6 hours a day for like a year, so yeah, it felt a little more regular. But I did have some awesome rounds, and I gotta say, just deleting ships with a battleship broadside is so much fun. I want to get back into destroyers again and sort of brush up on my mastery techniques with them, and maybe even dip back into cruisers. I never really fully mastered cruisers, but there were a few classes of them that I really enjoyed. Now, once again, I'd like to thank Wargaming for sponsoring this video and also continuing to update and keep World of Warships a really fun game for over a decade, and I hope this game is still being played another decade from now. Once again, if you guys are interested in checking out World of Warships, there's a link in the video description. Now seems like one of the best times in the game's history to create a new account or get back online if you're a returning player. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop me a like if you did, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap signing off.